Hey, what's up, everybody? And thank you for listening to Operation Agency Freedom, where we are bringing you top secret advice from the world's most badass digital agency owners. These amazing men and women are sharing their stories of how they have built 6, 7, and 8-figure digital agencies and how you can too. My name is Chris Martinez, CEO of Dude, where we help digital agencies by giving them the people and the processes so that they can scale profitably. Today, I am joined by my new bro up in Canada, Adam Bate from SEO Brothers. What's up, man?
Thank you, Chris. Not a whole lot. It's great to be here and looking forward to chatting things through and diving in.
Awesome, man. And now we were in Denver together. What was it, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it feels like an eternity ago, I tell you.
And I know. And I feel like the peoples who put on the conference knew that it would be funny to put the dude and the bros next to each other.
They did it at least we weren't facing each other, but they certainly did it on purpose.
It was pretty funny though. I liked it. I like that kind of humor. So awesome, Adam. Well, great to have you on the show and great to see you again, of course. So as we start off every show, we're going to do a little roundtable discussion.
Sure.
Of something not necessarily related to business. So for you, it's really interesting. We've definitely never had anybody who has this background on the show. And to be brutally honest with you, sometimes I poke fun at your this lifestyle choice that you have. So you are a vegan, but there is a
Correct.
really interesting story behind it. And apparently you've lost like 60 pounds. So tell us how did this all come to be? How
Sure.
did you decide to become vegan?
Yeah, I mean, those are sort of not mutually exclusive, but a couple of different sort of events in life that caused that. Yeah, I mean, growing up, I don't know, I was captain of the basketball team, I was in track and field. I was that athletic guy, did every sport in high school, was very athletic. And then sort of high school was over, college hit and real world hit. And I got lazy and I got compliant and there was unlimited pizza and beer. I mean, so life kind of took over and I found myself probably, 60, 70 pounds heavier than I was sort of first, second year university.
Wow.
That might've been, it was a shock and a sort of a wake up call. That was probably maybe a half decade ago, 6 or 7 years ago. And I think at the time I had picked up Tim Ferriss's second book, his 4-Hour Body. And in that book, he has a sort of a slow carb diet outlined that really sort of the premise of it is, instead of eliminating carbs entirely, you sort of pivot into more legume-based, slower digestive carbs that give your body sort of a chance to digest it over time as opposed to spiking your blood sugar. Anyway, it was great, great book. I mean, obviously great author. I read his 4-Hour Workweek and got into sort of that world of online business from that. So I thought, well, he must know what he's talking about. Let me give it a shot. But in sort of to keep myself accountable, I thought I did a little diary. I published it to iTunes. I called it a podcast. It was maybe 2 or 3 minutes from me talking to myself. And at the time, maybe my mom and possibly, one of my few brothers, if they decided to check in from time to time. And it was like a short, rigid kind of this is what I did today. This is what went well. This is what didn't go well. But because of that, I was pretty compliant to the diet. And over the first 3 months or so, lost maybe 40 pounds. And then went on to sort of, further my just well-being, I guess, to lose another 20. But it wasn't actually in that process that I became vegan. I may have slowly transitioned into sort of vegetarian then, but it was after I went to the doctor to get blood work done and everything else after sort of losing all that weight. And he said, I don't know. He said, you might've lost a lot of weight, but your cholesterol is through the roof and just everything else doesn't look great. And so it was kind of a little bit of a shock having to go through that transformation and that, I don't know, really the change of mindset, to sort of, to commit to that and then have it not as awesome as you expected to be on the other end. And so then I met my sort of wife now, at the time, who was a longtime vegetarian, adapted a vegetarian lifestyle, have now been vegan for 4 years, maybe. And so have since sort of gone on to improve those numbers. So that was kind of my motivation in tandem with choose your 100 other reasons to become vegan, I suppose. But, that was my sort of initial drive there. And yeah, I guess, I went on Devin. It's funny because Devin's not here with us, but him and we did a daily interview show in the health and fitness space for about a full year before getting out of that. So
is he vegan too?
He's not. No, he
Okay.
went through a very similar weight loss and sort of dropped 50 pounds himself.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it was kind of like that podcast got us into the world of affiliate and SEO, and kind of what then later became the SEO Brothers.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So the joke is, and you probably do you do CrossFit, by the way?
I don't actively. No, I have certainly from time to time. But
okay. So the joke is, if you meet a vegan CrossFitter, the question is, what do they talk about first? Because vegan and CrossFitters like to talk about.
Yeah. I try not to be too culty. I'm not gonna lie.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, getting back to your blood work. Now, did the doctor identify, or did the doctor like tell you, hey, like you need to cut out these things, or you're at high risk for a heart attack or something like that?
No, I wasn't through the roof, and I wasn't at risk of heart attack, but I was in my late 20s at the time.
Yeah.
And to hear anything like that after going through what I thought was just an incredible transformation, to hear anything but like perfect was a little disappointing. And there was the standard, like, avoid your red meat, eat, fish and chicken, and eat lots of vegetables, which is great. But I guess just from there, I kind of took things a step further into my own hands.
So just to clarify, vegan is no meat products, no animal products whatsoever. So, but also, is it no eggs, no dairy, no?
That's correct. Yeah. So no animal products at all, including, byproduct, eggs, cheese, yogurt, you name it.
What is the thing that you miss the most? No yogurt.
Yeah. No, good question.
Ice cream. What is the thing that you miss the most?
So there's two things that I struggled with, not struggled, but two things that took let's call it a struggle. My parents, big barbecuers. My dad always barbecued growing up. And that was like, that's what we did every weekend. Friday, Saturday was just a barbecue by the pool, lots of friends over. And so it wasn't, but it's funny because, and this is what I tell a lot of people who ask, is that it wasn't necessarily the food. It was the environment and the situation and the engagement. I think in our world, our culture, just part of who we are is that we associate food with that whole atmosphere. And because it revolves around a barbecue, in my mind, I thought like, I can't eat the meat. Like it's not going to be fun or whatever. And I think it was more the struggle of just learning how to be okay with swapping that out. But, at the end of the day, it was still family and it was still a great time. And no one really noticed as much as sort of you build it up in your head that they're going to notice. Or at least maybe they talk about it behind your back. So that's
I was going to say, like, Adam's coming, what we got to do. Like,
but I think it was that. And for me, cheese and like scrambled eggs on toast is just like, I miss that. But yeah, I don't know. I do. And then you don't. And you find an alternative. So
at the end of the day, your health is the most important. So
certainly.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get into the whole reason why we're here.
Sure.
Talking about SEO Brothers, man. So, I'll let you explain, but,
sure.
you and I have very similar business models, both working with agencies. So tell me, start it off. Tell us what SEO Brothers does.
SEO Brothers helps freelance web and digital agencies start, grow, and scale their organic search offering. And so that's kind of what we do. So we work with exclusive white label. So we only work with digital partners, but we try to have a solution that fits with most shapes and sizes within that realm, from freelance all the way up to, large multi-million-dollar digital agencies. We have been through a few iterations in sort of service and product offering, have moved more to a productized sort of offering that is less based on the type of work you want done and more just based on volume and how many active projects you want to push through the door at any given time. So our areas of focus right now are helping sort of web design first firms better handle the sort of new build and redesign process. So mitigating risk, building good foundations for their projects, and then sort of backing that with a solid strategic growth focused campaign, whether that's a one-time project or an ongoing campaign. We can handle random ad hoc requests for audits and keyword research and things like that, but we fit best with someone who's really looking to level up their SEO and really looking to add that as a very strategic and high margin part of their digital agency.
Awesome. So how did you get the inspiration for this?
Yeah. The inspiration. So I guess let's rewind a little bit. We were, when we were first created, we were like an all things SEO, and also sort of like a web design, maybe a little paid, because if someone wants paid search, they're doing organic, it just makes sense. We quickly learned that we needed to specialize in SEO because I have no idea how to manage paid ads. And like I might be able to hack together a WordPress site with a builder, but certainly not creative and can't design and sort of don't have that level of aesthetic bone in my body, I guess.
Yeah.
So we really dove into SEO. We did direct to business. We did large budget. We did small budget. We did basically anything we could get our hands on, like a lot of, digital agencies do when they're first starting up, is build enough revenue that they can make those strategic decisions. In hindsight, wish I did a little different, but and so we, there's a couple of things that moved us into the white label. One, we accidentally fell into it. We had a partner in sort of the local market where my brother is, in the Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario region in Canada, that just kind of reached out and said, you guys rank number one in our area. Like, why don't you come on in and we'll have a conversation about what this partnership could look like. We had no idea what white label would look like in this space. And we just kind of settled on this. I don't even know if we signed a document for the first couple of years of partnership, where it was just like a 50% revenue share. And that was just what was kind of like an unspoken truth as we sort of scaled this partner's business. What we quickly realized in the direct to business side was that like our businesses would outgrow us. When someone wanted to stack SEO on top of paid, on top of, design, they'd quickly go to a full service agency and we'd be obsolete. That's what moved us into this model. And then, like a lot of productized sort of inspiration, Design Pickle was a big one for us, to answer your question specifically. I was following Russ and what he was up to and thought, like, listen, I can do this for SEO. I know I can. I said, there's a model here that must work. It might be a little different. I think we tried to force ourselves into that price point and into that model a little too much, but fortunately quickly adapted and learned from that to structure what worked for us and our business and for our partners, versus just trying to, I guess, pick one thing in particular that, that we tried to force everyone into.
Great. Cool. So SEO is something that I've personally never sold before. We never offered it when I was running my agency. But obviously I think from a consumer standpoint, every company out there has heard of SEO.
Right.
So it's definitely a great, entry point for an agency to get access to the company or whatever.
Right.
But like getting it done, that's a whole different story. With most things in the digital agency world, it's like getting it done is a whole different story. So what is it that you guys offer that solves a lot of problems for agencies?
Sure. So we offer a couple of things, and how we help is, and you're right. So there's an issue on delivery, like execution is very important. We also feel that like sales support is also very important. So being able to help our partners sell in solutions, and then obviously delivering great results for their clients. And we do that in a couple of ways where we've really productized and processed our approach to SEO, but we respect and understand that every site is different. And so when we have a new campaign or a new project, we will go through the same process, and it's largely competitive based. So, and I can dive into that process in a little bit, but to answer your question, we have a structured process that we educate them on to sell, so that it's not selling SEO and what's included in package A, B, and C. It's selling the process and educating the client on the process and having trust in that process. And then on an execution standpoint, what we like to do for, more committed ongoing campaigns is an approach. We basically start from the bottom up as opposed to the top down. And what I mean by that is, every hotel in New York wants to rank for hotels in New York. No doubt about it. It's the high volume, high traffic term. But it's going to take you years if you're a newcomer to that space. And so what we instead recommend is sort of starting from a position sort of lower in the market. So why don't we target, say, conference room rentals in New York or in a suburb? So we start with sort of lower volume, lower competition sort of focus areas, and then stacking them on top of each other until we've driven the same traffic. And at the end of the day, if you stack that on top of, hotel wedding venues in location and, I don't know, just a sort of a few other sub-services that may make sense. And then by the time you go for hotels in New York, you've built that authority, your site's well optimized, your link profile is much better. And the time to result on that term would be much less than, 2 or 3 years out of the gate. It overall, we've found that it just drives, it drives better traffic and better conversion to the client because we can get that started right away. And because we can get it started right away, it also gets buy-in from the client on the fact that the process works. Because the quicker you can show them something, the better that they're going to trust the process. And then as soon as they trust the process, we can continue executing it time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that agencies face with anything, but specifically SEO, is because it can take a long time. And, we live in an instant gratification type of world. So that's actually one of the reasons why I never sold SEO, is because I was like, I know our customers, they want something right away.
Right.
I'll pay more for paid traffic as opposed to waiting, 6 months
to a
year for SEO.
We often recommend paid traffic. If you want, dentist in Toronto, then go pay for it. And while you're paying for it, we'll get you wisdom teeth extractions in Toronto and dental implants in Toronto and, Invisalign braces in Toronto. And we'll just chip away at the lower competition, lower search volume to get people in your door organically.
Gotcha. So let's talk about from an organization standpoint. I mean, your team has grown, pretty big. I mean, you got 16 people now?
16. Yeah.
Is that including you and your brother?
It is. Yeah. We're still quite active in the business, so it does include us.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, so, what are some of the biggest challenges that you guys face as an organization? Because managing people is not easy, as you know, and we talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's start out with this going. What's going really well? Like, what's something that you guys are really proud of that you've done? And then we'll switch into what are some of the challenges that you guys face?
Yeah, I think something that we're increasingly proud of, and I'll say increasingly because we're not quite finished, is we've leveraged the Trainual platform to really dump all of our knowledge into. And this has been, it's funny because I might have signed up, I don't know how many free trials. Thank goodness they're so great at free trials, because I sign up and I create some, and then I'll quit and I'll come back and I'll do it again. Anyway, so we've been committed for maybe 6 months or so. And then I'd say in the last quarter, last few months, we've been committed to actually populating and getting some things in. And we're now at a point where there's enough value in there that we can take sort of a new hire through at least pieces of the process. And that was the problem before, was that we'd hire very specifically because we had a demand for audits, or we're getting just overthrown with audits, or we're getting overthrown with keyword research. And they'd do great work and we train them well in that sort of area, but they wouldn't understand how all the dots were connected or how the business worked in general. And they'd feel very isolated. And I can't speak for all of them, but many of them communicated that they were very isolated in their day-to-day because they were doing good work, but they were just banging out tech audits all day. And, that's only so exciting for so long, especially if you don't understand how the rest of the business functions around you. So I think getting more of that context in just better employee onboarding is something we are increasingly proud of.
That's awesome. Good job on that. Yeah. And for those, excuse me, I'm starting to joke. For those that don't know, Trainual is a software for training employees, and we use it here at Dude. It's really, really good. No software has everything, but I know Chris Ronzio, who's one of the founders of, maybe he's the only founder, I don't know. But they're actively always trying to make it better. And he's asked me personally, hey, what are some things that we can do to make it better? So highly recommend Trainual. We should have them be a sponsor of the podcast.
There you go.
but yeah, check that out. So let's shift gears. So on the other side, what are some things that you're kind of having challenges with as a growing company?
I mean, I guess a double-edged sword on hiring so quickly. I think just two things. Service, I would say maybe not service quality, but because we do a lot of our hiring both in North America and in Eastern Europe. So obviously language is always an issue when English isn't your first language.
Yeah.
And, because I modeled Design Pickle in the early days, I thought I can hire exclusively in the Philippines or in India or in Eastern Europe. And I can, geo arbitrage my better wage, and I can pay well, but I can, provide great service. And that's not false. I can certainly do that. But unlike some industries like design, where there aren't paragraphs of text that's needed, in SEO, especially in content creation or in even just metadata optimization, the English language really plays an important role in that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that was one of our struggle in maybe growing too fast, was growing exclusively overseas and not as aggressively locally. And just that balance of, and I won't say quality because the work is great. It's just, it really comes down to some of the nuances or context that someone whose English isn't their first language just doesn't understand in some industries. And so that's been a challenge for us, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from. Obviously, our team are here in Tijuana, but when I started, all of my team was in the Philippines. And there's just little, little idiosyncrasies between the languages. And even between cultures, because Canadian English is a little bit different than American English. Like you say, the accent alone. So like if you're trying to talk through something, and you said you said I don't know if you said out and about or something, or like
you say all kinds of things.
You said two of the words back to back, and I was like, oh my god, that's so Canadian. But like in England, for example, they say like trash can is the bin, right? And the bathroom is the loos, and like all these stuff. Like it's like we don't ever say that in the States.
Sure.
And all those little things can create some inefficiencies when you have to go back and forth, and especially when you have the time zone challenge. So so now, since you've kind of identified those challenges, how have you guys been finding people in North America and Eastern Europe, but that help you to provide a better customer experience?
Yeah, great question. So what we do now is we pair strategists and specialists together, and that's what we call them, because the strategist really guides. They more understand the different partners and their typical clients and their campaigns that come on. They're North American. Not that the Eastern Europeans or the team from the Philippines, they don't understand that. They just, the North American team is the one that will communicate with the partners and will sort of guide overall strategy of that campaign. But they're paired with a specialist who helps with technical aspects and research and just brainstorming. And, it's always nice to bounce ideas off people. So, but when it comes to like writing the meta description or writing the page content, that'll be the North American team. But pairing those two people together as opposed to just having them sort of separate gives them a little bit of collaboration and just a little bit more ownership over the roles as opposed to hiring for task. And that's one way. In order, to find them, we try our best to train really well. And so that's where Train You will come in, and where we will continue to focus is hiring someone without maybe the same level of expertise in digital or in SEO, and really training them well on this. In order to sort of keep our costs down as much as possible.
Yeah, I love that. I love the pairing up of the two and making them a team. It's like you got. It's like the skipper and Gilligan.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and then you give them a project coordinator and you call it a day. And that's typically what our model is for partners.
That's awesome, man. So what's next up for you guys? Like what are your growth goals, or what are some exciting things that you guys have on the horizon?
Yeah, we're doing great growth. We're doing probably double digit month over month.
Wow.
So we're committed to continuing that. I think we've done really well at choosing a model that works for us in terms of helping or in giving us encouragement to help our partners grow. Historically, we had either this like elusive strategic partnership model or like a flat rate, small fee, unlimited request style, similar to Design Pickle.
And dude.
Yeah. Well, and I followed your evolution a little bit in terms of, your pricing and leveling that up as well. And our idea was like, we'll let people start at the low end. But we'll also give them encouragement to scale and give our team encouragement to help them scale, because obviously that would take someone from $375 to a couple $1,000s a month if it meant supporting them, selling in more projects and getting more campaigns going. And so we do have that role internally that is currently actually my brother Devin for the majority of partners, where he's the one on the BD front and helping partners sell in and wrap proposals together and create packages and what have you. And then I think there's a couple initiatives we have for 2021 being a sort of a training resource for freelance community, probably around that redesign or sort of standalone project. We've seen, and we got that first strategic partner from 3 or 4 years ago reached out because they redesigned a website and their organic visibility tanked.
Wow.
And that's probably the number one reason that we get contacted from web designers. So we'd love to create a resource, and we're not even looking to necessarily charge for it, but we'd love to educate the design community on what those best practice SEO, what process you can overlay in your existing sort of design procedure that will help you mitigate that risk during a project.
Yeah. You know who you guys should check out for that? Wistia. So Wistia, that's video hosting. Lots of video hosting providers out there. But if you check out their blog, so they have some awesome videos educating people on like how to create videos. It's really, really cool. Like I was, trying to set up a lighting, thing for our own videos. And this is before I had Liz, who's our amazing podcast producer, as well as our videographer and editor. That's a plug for Liz. And, and also, so I'm trying to figure out how to do lighting, and I went to Wistia and they had an amazing blog post, video tutorial and blog post about how to set up lighting. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. And they showed you like what to buy from Home Depot, so you don't have to spend a bunch of money.
Oh, neat. All right.
Yeah. And so that's actually also something that we've been wanting to create here at Dude. The good thing is that most of our agencies know, like our clients, at least, they know the web design and development process. So there's not like a whole lot of education. But every once in a while, we create a piece and everybody's like blown away. And I'm like, I thought everybody knew how to do that.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, that's short-term plan 2020, but we'll see where things go.
Nice. Awesome, man. Well, I think we're getting close to being out of time. What is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Sure. Feel free to email me directly. It's adam@seobrothers.co. Or just check us out online at seobrothers.co. You can, find my info somewhere there. I think I'm on Twitter or Instagram at Adam Bate. Feel free to Instagram. You might see some pictures of my kids. Twitter, you might see an old historic post. LinkedIn, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Also Adam Bate in LinkedIn. So all of that info will be on seobrothers.co. Though check us out there.
I want to see a picture of Fat Adam on social media.
I'll send you one. You can put it along the show notes.
Oh, we're totally gonna put that in there.
I'll send you a picture of a few stages. I'll obviously put a fit one in there too, so you have something to compare it to. But
you are a pretty fit dude. Like you're what, like 6'2"?
I wish. No, I'm an even 6 at best. 5'11 and a half. So
I thought you were taller than me because I'm 6 foot.
Devin's the taller one. He's 6'2", 6'3". But
wow. All right, and then the next question is,
hidden away.
Who would be the perfect person to reach out to you today?
Yeah, great question. If you serve clients from a digital perspective, so if you do web design, if you do paid ads, if you do social media, and you're interested in exploring SEO as a strategic part of your business, then we'd love to have a conversation.
Are most of the, your ideal client, let's just talk size. So sure. Like, is there a typical revenue range or employee count for your ideal client?
Yeah. I wouldn't say there necessarily is. There certainly used to be, until we've moved into a more scalable solution. We have a lot of freelancers that, run 1 or 2 projects with us. May have like one sold in campaign and then flex in a second project to
get a redesign done or get some research done or what have you. And we have some digital agencies that have, 40, 50 active campaigns on the go. So we're open to all sizes. What we've found works best in the initial relationship is if, and in order for us to really work and to have a good fit, is that if we can come to the table with our process and layer our process on top of your clients. So if you're rigid in the fact that you use these tools and your clients expect, this style of deliverable and these tools, then we might not be a best fit. We're happy to have a conversation. But, and what we found is like usually up to the 600, 750, maybe $1 million revenue mark, that we're still able to come in and layer process and have those communications with clients versus some agencies we work with are, multi-deca million, and they may leverage us for support on redesign or new build or just to get some, grunt work research done, if you will.
Yeah.
But not the same level of collaboration and growth there.
No, I love that. I love that you guys are rigid because you guys know what works. So don't deviate from that for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know what it offers, the service quality just goes down as you try to, if we try to re-educate our team on your process, like you're better off hiring an employee in-house and training them internally. You'll get a better return out of them than you.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, to all of our listeners, thank you guys for tuning in today, and make sure that you return next Thursday and every Thursday for the next episode of Operation Agency Freedom. Bye, guys.